Well, Miguel, thanks for spending time with us here today. And I know we've had a little bit of a preamble here that's gone on quite a bit with a lot of information that we've been sworn to secrecy that we can't tell anyone on pain of excommunication.
Yeah, transparency doesn't mean that I cannot keep a few gifts
That's
wrapped
right.
up for
That's
Christmas,
right.
right?
I tell that to my wife too. So anyway, so we'd start off if you just do a quick introduction of yourself, so the PS3 community, anyone else that sees us will know who you are, and we'll do one of us, and then we'll jump into the meat.
Perfect. And it's going to be a very fun interview because I know that your communities are very well educated on Eternal Crusade. So we'll be able to get to the meat right away. I won't have to explain the whole game mechanic and everything. So that's going to be very cool. To start with, my name is Miguel Caron. I'm 41 years old. I've started working in behavior a year ago, but in my career, I've been a CEO of medium and large public companies, mostly in technology. And before that, I actually studied in a military university, a bit like West Point, but in Canada, called Royal Military College of Canada. And I studied in military strategy. So you can tell why I'm so interested with, with that project. And throughout my growth, I joined the gaming industry about six years ago. And I was being a fan of video game. I have always been a very hardcore type of player. And for me to join the industry was just incredible because it was the first time that I was selling to people that, and I was giving service to people that I'm like them. I know them. I'm part of that community. And the other thing is I'm a huge consumer of what we're making. So that make it not really a work and make it more fun.
Yeah.
And I joined Behavior, and I brought, because that's a project that I even started working on with the core team, even before I joined Behavior, and I looked for the best place to bring that project on. And I really chose Behavior. And I had a lot of different type of offers and opportunity, but for me, Behavior was really the one that I wanted to bring it. And for one of the reasons that most people don't know or don't understand is Behavior has been around for 21, 22 years now. And throughout these 20 years, Behavior made money by making games for other people, making games for Pixar, making games for Disney, making games for all these guys.
Okay.
And when we make games for these big publisher, the way it works is we receive an RFP and it says, here's the game that we want you guys to make, here's the features, and then we need to quote on the price. And this is all fixed bid. And so when we quote on the price, that and the timing as well. So, you know, time, delay, quality, it's always the triangle of delivering a product. It's the only way we can make money is if we cost well and if we manage the project very, very well, and if we are extremely efficient in the way that we provide these games to our partner. I mean, I won't say names, but console games that you AAA console games that you've seen, that you heard, you know, cost 50, 60, 70, 80 millions. We've made some of these games for these large publisher for a fourth of the price with the same level of quality. So that's really what made me decide to join Behavior. I mean, I was the first online game ever in the history that I signed the license with 40K 3 days before E3 last year, and I announced that I signed the license and the game is going to come out in 2 years. So for us, we know exactly how long the project is going to last. We know our run rate. We know everything. Like for me, adding a new faction, if that faction doesn't have female, I know it's costing me $407,000. You know, so after that, when I need to make a business case and I need to decide to add a new faction as a DLC, let's say, or anything like that, I can understand and quote it. Not quote it, but price it accordingly, and knowing it way in advance. So it's not like lost like this, and that's why we are able to make that game in the time that we're making it, and it's really because of Behavior's financial discipline and project management discipline. Now, one of the reasons why Behavior wanted me to join them, it was to help or be a catalyst in helping Behavior slowly migrate or add a product division to his service division, to stop just getting our customer rich, but start to build value for ourselves. Because when in service, if the games fail, doesn't matter for us. If the games succeed, doesn't matter for us, you know? But when it's your own product, it's very, very different. So that's the main reason why I chose Behavior, and And since then, I've been working on 2 projects, basically, that I've announced. I'm working on another project, but these are still secret. So I'm making Eternal Crusade, Warhammer 40,000 Eternal Crusade, and I'm making Star Citizen with Chris Roberts as well.
Okay.
So these are the 2 projects that we're working on, that we have announced.
Okay, great. Well, just so everyone will know that's watching this, and for you, I'm Steve McCaslin, and what I do, Todd here, who'll introduce himself in a minute, had made contact with you guys, and he said that, hey, we have a chance to do an interview with the Eternal Crusade guys. You want to do it? And of course, it was, I hemmed and hawed for about a microsecond and then said yes. So in the PS3 community, which is where we are right now, we represent 2 of the different chapters that are the competitive side of our community. I'm with the Raven Guard chapter, and Todd's with the Space Wolves, and Todd will be happy to know Space Wolves are going to be part of the initial launch of this anyway. I'm sure that you guys, now that you know me, will take care of the Raven Guard for me and everything. So anyway, so in our community, I go by Adeptus Castrati, and I sort of monitor our page that we have, our community page for the PS3 SMCA. And
SMCA stands for
Space Marine Competition Association.
Okay.
It formed 2 years ago whenever the old spacemarine.com forum page started going haywire on us, and it just got unusable, and we wanted a place where we could get together and represent our competitive interests as a group, and so we started up this community led up by, in fact, one of the Blue Nose Boy, one of the Space Wolves, was one of the key guys. There are a lot of key guys in it, so I won't mention the other guys' names, and I'll probably get heckled for it. But we started that up to allow us to do something beyond just getting into the public lobbies and play, and so we have tournaments and chapter battles and all sorts of stuff. We've been doing it for a couple of years now, and I'm not sure where the squeal's coming from, and I don't know that it's me moving. But I'll try to sit right here and not move because it's not making any noise. So with that said, I'll turn over to Todd and let him introduce himself.
I'm Todd Ellis. I'm a representative of the PS3 Space Wolves. I go by the name of Lehman Russ, which is what you guys pretty much know me as. And I just wanted to say before we get started, I really appreciate you doing this. This is, a really cool thing that you're so in contact with your fan base.
Well, it's my job, basically.
I know that I know that you probably have a very hectic, busy schedule, and I really appreciate
for you guys. Never too hectic for the players, because that's for whom we're making that game, basically.
Okay.
Right.
So very nice to meet you, Todd. Very nice to meet you, Steve.
Thank you, and you as well. And I'll echo Todd here with appreciate that you are spending some time with us today.
That's welcome, my friend. It's my job and my pleasure. I'm sorry, it's since we're in a campaign, I'm not as quick as usual because I've been working 7 days a week and long days, and it's Friday, and this weekend I have it free, so I'm still a bit tired, and sometimes you'll hear my French accent kicking in a little bit more. But
so that means we're between you and happy hour, so we better go quickly.
No, take your time. Take your time.
I never want to be between a man and happy hour. No doubt. Anyway, so we tried to do as much research as we could do for this and get as much so we could ask questions that hadn't been asked. We'll see how that goes. I'm sure some of them will be ones that either we just didn't find the answer to, or for some reason we're asking it again. Maybe there's an update to it. We put the information out on a thread on our website, and these are the questions that came back. So these questions aren't coming from Todd and me necessarily. We're representing our community by bringing their questions to you. So without that, we've broken it up into some areas. So there'll be big picture questions. There'll be gameplay questions about the races and factions, combat questions, customization, and then we'll wrap it up at the final end of it.
Perfect.
So I'll start off with the first question is, based on your introduction there, coming to Behavior, why 40K? What made you guys want to take on 40K?
It's actually the other way around. It's not us that took upon 40K. It's 40K that took upon us way back in the time. It's right now we're 41 dev in the team, and easily 12 of them have been a tabletop player for more than 10 years, and that's quite rare. That I think it's in terms of percentage, no other 40K games have had that many of really old-time fans on it. I mean, Mathieu Fecteau, my associate producer, has won a month ago the Quebec tournament for tabletop. The whole provincial tournament for tabletop. So, and when I was trying to come up with a new approach, a new game design, even before I was with Behaviour, I was discussing it with the David Gosselin, who's the creative director, and Brent and all the guy, and we're discussing what kind of game we want to make next while we were doing tournament of tabletop. While we're playing the tabletop, we're in breaks and things like that. We're talking about this, and then suddenly it's it's probably a psycher somewhere that influenced us as hey guys, wake up, look at the table, look at what you're doing, look at what is your passion in life. It's 40K, so why not make a game in 40K? And this time, why not really make the game connect with the lore, with the real 40K lore, which means that the first thing, and you'll see often I'll repeat that, and when you ask me question, the first promise that I give you guys, and when I say you, it's you and your community, is that this is the consumer promise. So it's the first thing that we talk about the game, and the consumer promise is to make you experience what it is to be a soldier in the 41st millennium. Right. So if I was able to transport you in the future, and the future would be 40K, I really certainly hope not, but the future is 40K, and then you, Lehman, would be you have the shape to be a space wolf anyway, and you have the beard that goes with it. So you probably would, they probably wouldn't even give you a gene seed, They'd probably take the gene from you. But no, seriously, the type of emotion that you'll feel as a space wolf in the game, that's what we're trying to do, is to understand if you were really a space wolf 40,000 years in the future, how would it work, and would you be really like the type of emotion you would live there at that moment? I think we had another issue with the cameras, eh?
Yeah, let's just keep pressing. We'll get
Perfect.
what we can out of it.
Yeah. So that emotion as a real space marine that you would live, that's what we want to make you feel in the game. These are the type of emotion. Hence why we decided on a PvP-centric game, because as a real space marine in the 40K universe, you're not taking a packet flowers from Mrs. Smith and giving it to Mr. Smith. That's not what you're doing, and you're not alone as a space marine battling an army of AIs. That's not really what it is to be a soldier of the 41st millennium. Being a soldier is fighting other skilled enemies. That's what it is. And that's why, we put the game as a PvP-centric game. So a lot of the questions you're going to ask me, I will always go back to the notion of the consumer promise, which is to be a soldier of the 41st millennium.
Okay. So in your answer there, you sort of led me to one of the next questions that I have here on that we came up. The incredible task that goes into taking something that's tabletop, and you have 12 devs, you say, that are in the tabletop, for 10 plus years on it there. So with that in mind, and the game that's really based on a tabletop game that's been around for so long, how are those guys, like your devs? I mean, I'm sure they're going to make it happen, but what are they doing to make these guys feel, the guys that are the tabletop, old hands out there, what is their approach to making as much the same sort of feel of the tabletop whenever they jump into this game here and the experience you're describing?
So that's a very good question. And before I answer that question, I need to tell you something first. So when we signed the license and we started interacting with fans, we aimed our effort towards the 40K fans first, right? And that includes you guys that probably maybe do not do tabletop, but you're still in love with the lore and with the IP. I'm not a super player of tabletop, but I'm a addict reader. Since I'm a kid, I'm reading at least one novel per week. So and I've just in the past 10 months, I think I've read about 18, 19 novels of the Black Libraries.
Wow.
So that's my passion. And that these are the fans that we approach first, because with them, when I was without asset, without presentation, when I was describing the game, I could see it in their eyes or in their forehead. I could see that they understood exactly what this game was about. And I didn't need to say, well, well, they're orcs. And then, a lot of journalists don't know about 40K, so I say, because they're an orc.
Yeah.
And then they look at me, what do you mean? And then I have to go and explain the orc sculpture and this and that. And, so with the 40K fans, I was able to just describe the game very quickly without really having to go down in details, and they understood it like this, Right. So these were the first one. But the people that we want to serve is not only this community. It's, yes, the 40 community is extremely important, but we want the online community as well. We want to be able to, a bit like an iterator or remembrancer, more like an iterator. We want to be able to convince people that just don't know about the IP at all, or just know a little bit about the IP, to start discovering it throughout the game. Okay. So now, we want to please both. We want to please the competitive online player, and we want to please the old-timer 40K fans as well. And so one of the way that we will please these old 40K fans, that was your question, is so the first step, even before I start talking about anything, we can't break lore. That's the first step. Yeah, we need to. The project needs to understand what is the 40K IP and what's the storyline and what's the background. And we just can't have a chaos and a space marine walking hand in hand, having fun together, chit-chatting and things like that. It just doesn't happen. Same thing that we couldn't have the Tyrannid be a player faction, because a Tyrannid is a hive mind. It's having one Tyrannid alone walking around and doing the Macarena emote dancing. This just would break the lore. Yeah. So that was one of the first thing. And in order to do that, first of all, we had already the core team that really know the IP, but we went and hired Graham McNeil, who is one of the top writer in the Black Libraries. He's written, I think it's over 30 novels in the Black Library, and I think 2 or 3 of them got New York Times bestseller. And he's our writer. He's the one writing everything about the background story of our game. And the fact that we add him to the team allowed, we kind of got an upgrade in our credibility with Games Workshop. So now, because of him, Arcona and the Caron system are part of the canon, and they're in the Sector Obscura, and they're right beside the Eye of Terror. And everything about Eternal Crusade, every step of the way, is tied in to something in the lore. So that's one way to make to please these 40K hardcore fans. Okay. The other thing as well, it's very important that, yes, it looks like. Are you guys playing tabletop?
I haven't played in a long time, but about 8 years.
But you've played before?
Yes.
Yeah. What about you, Lemon?
I'm getting ready to get into it. I've been reading the novels for about 7 years. And played the video games, but I'm getting ready to start building my first army.
Okay. The thing is, when you play a tabletop game, let's say, Steve, you and I, we play once against each other. Mm-hmm. We're not controlling one character. We're controlling an army, right? Right. So, and the army is 100% obedient. Because you take the piece and you move it. Like your pieces don't argue with you, right? So you mean if you don't argue with you. In Eternal Crusade, it's a little bit different in the sense that you're not controlling a full army. You're controlling your character. So it's an RPG system. So you are one person, and you're going to stay that person if you don't change faction. You're going to stay that person throughout your experience in Eternal Crusade. Now, if you choose to be a commander, either a squad commander, a strike force commander, or be a part of the War Council, then yes, It's exactly like a tabletop thing, except that your soldier are real people. So if you tell them to do something, they might not always obey. And the type of, you need actual leadership to make them do your stuff versus just taking the minifigure and just moving it. So it creates a more realistic experience and emotion, as if you were a real commander on the battlefield of a real Space Wolf army.
Okay.
So that's the way that we make sure that that the hardcore fan, the old timers of 40K, will find pleasure in the game.
Great. So when you guys started this off, one of the first stated goals by the development team was to create a completely different MMO, if I recall right.
Yep.
So what steps are they taking to separate this MMO from others that are out there right now?
So that's a thing. I mean, you know about our no marketing firewall between devs and fan, and this is something. It's not only about no marketing firewall. Our motto in the project, actually in Behaviour Online, is be true, be fair, be transparent, and that is not just about the design of the game. It's about how we talk about the game, how we promote it, and innovation is something that is in my DNA. I mean, honestly, I'm a weird person. I don't think like most people, and I like to do things differently. And since I'm a kid, now I'm 41, so I don't do it out of spite anymore. I do it out of purpose. You know, so when I see everybody going on the left side, then I go on the right side, because insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and thinking or expecting different results. Or what I prefer to say, it's if you want what other people don't have, you need to do what they don't do. And that's what we brought in lots of innovation in every aspect of the whole project, not just in the game design itself, but innovation, even when you guys, as fans, not necessarily of 40K fans, but as gamer fans, you ask for, we want innovation, we want innovation. The reality is that you want a certain level of innovation, but you want to be able to find yourself in the game. So there's a few games that I've been playing that have too much innovation, where you lose your pillars, you lose your milestone, or how to recognize yourself in the game, and that's not something that we want to happen in Eternal Crusade. On the other hand, when you talk about MMO, I told you I'm a weird guy. I don't trust the way the industry uses these acronyms, because every VP marketing out there are trying to present it in a different way, So what I do, it's when we talk about acronyms, I use the real English signification. Is it massive? Yes. Is it multiplayer? Yes. Is it online? Yes. Then it's an MMO, So for me, a mobile is an MMO. Instance or non-instance doesn't matter. It's massive. There's 100 million or even more than that players of League of Legends, so it's massive. That's the way I see it. But if you want to go down to that very detailed definition of what the style of our game is, we call it a massive combat RPG. And why? It's because it is a combat RPG, a bit like PlanetSide 2, but we brought it a really a different approach, which is a player-driven, where as a noob, you just start, you don't know anybody in the game. Within the first 15 minutes of the game, you are involved in a real military strategy. I'll give you an example. There's two games that I've played a lot, EVE Online and PlanetSide 2. And one of the thing that is not made for noob is the fact that when you start playing these games, you don't know what's going on. Assuming that you don't have any contacts and you don't know anybody playing there, you don't know what's going on. And especially in EVE Online, on top of that is you really don't know even where the fights are, So you need to takes many months to get to know that. With PlanetSide 2 is a bit different, because you can start playing right away and having fun doing it, but you still don't know what's going on, because okay, I'm a blue guy, I'll stick with the blue guys, and then there's a bunch of red guys, shoot them, blah, 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 and you shoot them. But really, you might break a strategy of another blue guy general that is trying to do, and you have no clue about it, and you just have blobs of people shooting at other blobs of people. But with Eternal Crusade, it's very, very different. I don't know if you throughout the interview you have other question related to that, but because I'm steering away from your initial question, but I could give you an example of a
please.
real. Okay, so I'll give you an example of a real life situation in the game. Let me just pull it up because this I try as often as I can never to do design on the go, especially because I'm not a designer. But this example, is actually an example that was created by Brent, our lead game designer. So let me just bring that. So now just imagine yourself being that, okay? I'll tell you a quick scenario of something that will happen over and over again during the game. So basically, let me just pull out that slide. Here we go. So basically, you, Steve, you're basically a strike force commander, okay? And on top of that, you're part of the Eldar Council, okay? So you're a strike force commander in the Eldar faction, and you're part of the War Council of Eldar. So the Eldar faction council decide that conquering the supreme manufacturum on Sylvae. Sylvae is our smallest continent in the game. By the way, it's 64 square kilometers, our smallest continent. That means that as a Space Marine, it would take you at least 40 minutes to cross it running. With a Rhino, it would take you probably 15, 17 minutes to cross the whole continent, if it was in a straight line, which none of the continents are. But just to give you a perspective. So you decide to conquer the Space Marine supreme manufacturum on Sylvae. And that should be your focus. You as a commander, you set an objective to take control, to take a control point inside one of the manufacturum nearby supply depot. Lemon, that just created his character, just now, he really just created his character 10 minutes ago, select this objective from the map. Because it pops because this objective pops out because the commanders in Eternal Crusade, they have different tools than the rest of the players to be able to control their army. So as an example, I'll just show you from my screen right now. Let me just check. If you look at my screen, this is here we go.
The video's not working right now, so.
My video is not working?
Yeah, I'm not. I'm seeing your avatar, that handsome CEO picture you have there.
I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it.
All right. Now it looks like it's starting to come there. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's showing now.
So if you see what I have on my Eleanor laptop, it's a print screen of in-engine of our game, but it's painted over to add all the effect because we're still in production, right? So it's painted over, just to give us an example. But if you look at here, you see the icon there with the face, a guy. It says you probably cannot read. It says Commander. It's from Commander Magellan, who is an actual player. He's a commander, and it says underneath, "Let's capture objective B. Come on, we're almost there for the Emperor." So you'll receive messages like this by voice with the like of a voice. A voice communicator a few times from a different level of hierarchy within your faction. Sometimes you'll receive them from the War Council, sometimes you receive them from your squad commander, sometimes you receive them from a strike force commander. So you, Lemon, you just created your character and then you selected a mission that you saw. You thought, you still don't know about Eternal Crusade, so you really think that objective and that mission is we created that as a studio and it's an AI. It's an AI thing, you know, but actually it's not. It's really Steve that has just put that out, and you don't know Steve. You don't even know that he's your commander. So you just saw that objective and you picked it up on the map, and you just land very close to a stronghold, and you head for the depot that you saw that the objective is to take it in your wave serpent, which is the smallest tank that you can have as one of the smallest tank as an Eldar, that you spawn using your requisition point that you got from playing the game, you know. And then you, Steve, you receive a message from another one of your squad that is preparing to attack objective, to that control point, that tells you that there's a big predator tank that protects the depot. So, but now that you see this, you say, okay, my 2 squad that are there, they have no anti-armored vehicle weapons, but suddenly you see on your map that another one, a player that you really don't know, but he's part of your faction and he's part of your strike force, because he just got added automatically because he's a noob. So a noob will be added to some of them until they decide to choose another one or switch or whatever, or if they come in as a group. So you see that new person going with his Wave Serpent towards that depot, and you know that a Wave Serpent has absolutely zero chance against a Predator tank, because a Wave Serpent cannon cannot destroy a Predator tank. So basically what you do, it's you directly get into contact with Lemon, and you say, Crusader Lemon, this is Strike Force Commander XYZ, you know. I'm seeing that you're going towards that depot to take that objective. But wait, one of my squad just told me there's a big Predator tank waiting for it, and your Wave Serpent has absolutely no chances whatsoever against that tank. So here we go. I'm using our Strike Force requisition point to spawn a very powerful anti-vehicle fire prism tank from the Eldars. And then suddenly, Lemon, at first when you receive that voice message, you're like, oh my God, Eternal Crusade is voice over everywhere. Even the AIs is talking to me. Like, it was so cool. And it takes you a while to get that it's actually a real boss, your real commander talking to you. And then and you're like, yeah. He's going to give me, I just started to play the game. I'm going to be able to drive like one of the most powerful Eldar tank out there for other vehicle. And then you see a Thunderhawk just flying by, dropping that fire prism right beside you and flying away. And then your commander says, okay, can you just take that fire prism and go destroy that Predator tank? So obviously, Lemon, you switch to the fire prism and use it to destroy the Predator because he's such a great player. And then you take control of that point with the help, because the moment that you destroy that tank, you see suddenly like 3 other squad flying with to help you out and take over the whole thing. You're like, whoa, what's going on? They were just waiting for you, because the commander was in contact with them as well, to take out that Predator. So by doing this, you receive XP bonus because you followed up the directive of your commander, and then you receive a reward box, and you receive a requisition point. And then for you, Steve, you know, being able to flip the depot to your faction, it reduced the supply reserve of the Supreme Manufactorum. And this caused its turret to lose power. And then your other Eldar's strike forces were waiting for that to press into the stronghold. So, and then you win that. You win that big stronghold. So now you get rewarded, you as a commander, from the council for being able to be agile and use a new player that was not even part of the strategy to start with, that you've been working on it for weeks and weeks, you know, or days and days.
Right.
And then you would have been stuck with that stupid Predator tank there because you didn't take that into consideration, that it was a possibility. But just because Lemon, that you don't know, he doesn't know you, just joined as a noob the game, suddenly because of him, that whole 2, 3, 4 strike force of 500 players were able to win their objective because of Lemon decided to log in the game at that time and choose the Eldar as a faction. And this type of story, this type of situation will happen over and over and over in the game. So then this, and obviously when this is finished, Lemon is like, what the hell, you know, wow. By the way, Commander Steve, can I be officially part of your strike force? And what do you want me to be my role? And then you say, yeah, you did a great job there. I can trust you now. And then you're part of the team, and then you can do this next time, because it looks like you're very good in destroying tanks, because that was a tough thing for a noob to do. So I'll keep you in my reserve for, you know, armored vehicle attacks and things like that, and et cetera, et cetera. So this is a real situation and a real story that can happen over and over again in Eternal Crusade.
Fluid, that's for sure.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Miguel, you just As you were talking there, I looked down and you probably answered 6 questions in that
Okay,
little scenario there.
that's good.
So I'm trying to figure out where to pick up here, but I mean that's an awesome scenario. I don't have any real experience with big MMOs. I've been a PvP kind of guy, Space Marine and a couple of Call of Duty games in the past. So this will be a whole new experience for me whenever it comes to something
But
like that.
even if someone that has been playing World of Warcraft for 10 years, the game it is named an MMO, but it's completely different because our game is system driven. It's not story driven. Uh, we have objectives. We don't have a quest. We don't have this type of concept. The content of the game is what you guys will. It's how you will wage war, basically. So it's not like you finished playing Eternal Crusade and then the next day you log in and then you're going to continue where you're at. Tons of stuffs might have happened while you were asleep because this is a persistent world,
Right.
So the whole planet has changed, and really when you log it back in and you're in your Strike Force cruiser orbiting the planet if you're Strike Force commander and you decided to merge all your ship into a big one, then you're gonna go see them in their personal space, or you're gonna call them and you say, guys, come in the Strategarium. We need to plan the next battle, and so much has changed last time I logged in. And then you're going to see the map of Arcona with the big changes and what's going on there, and with tools that you'll be able to write on it, like your strategy. Are you going to do a guerrilla strategy more? Are you going to do traditional warfare? Are you going to do? Are you going to try to get some spy on the other side? Are you going to try to, and then you decide it, and then you go apply it. That's the thing that you'll see as well in the level design. I told you I studied in military strategy, and Stephen Lumpkin, the lead level designer with his very experienced team, we're talking all the time about military strategy and how to create the level to encourage the usage of real true military strategy. As an example, you have in Arcona, you have places, you have very big choke points, and in these choke points you have caves that are in the side of the mountain in that big choke point where you can fit, it's a small entrance, but inside you can fit maybe 50 Space Marine. So you could do a huge ambush, having a Space Marine running to draw the enemy in that choke point, and then you cut their exit by exiting the cave on one end and another cave at the other end, and you just crush them in the middle, as an example. So, or we have other playfield that for square kilometers, there's not a single cover. It's a big plain, So the only way that you can move on the battlefront and gain some territory in this type of area is to do traditional big massive warfare. That's the only way you can do it, putting your dreadnoughts in front, putting your tanks in front to protect your less armored fighters behind. And another reason why we have full friendly fire in the game is because we want people to think. We don't want them to just shoot like an arcade game. If I put my dreadnought, as a commander, if I put my dreadnought in front of your squad because your squad has very powerful weapons but are not really well armored, don't go shooting through my dreadnoughts. Like seriously, they're there to protect you. Don't shoot them out. So again, this goes to the consumer promise. If we didn't have friendly fire, then we would lie in our consumer promise, because no, that wouldn't be making you feel as a soldier of the 41st millennium, because friendly fire happens a few times in the 40K lore.
Yeah, it does. Sometimes even on purpose.
Yeah, that's exactly what I meant.
and even in the game, sometimes. I'll tell you, a lot of us are happy about the friendly fire part, because we see that as it will change the way a lot of players it doesn't matter what game you play, when you have to worry that you might not achieve an objective because now you've got, I just killed 2 of my guys with my grenade toss, or my predator tank shell exploded and did something like that. I think it's going to make a big difference in the way we approach it. So Lehman, I'm going to adjust the way we had briefed on doing this here, because he's answered quite a few of the questions, even in the section you were going to pick up next. So, but I'm going to go back up to a couple of mine there, in the big picture things there. So that what you've just described, Miguel, for me, as a guy who, I've been on the forums and I've been listening to guys in our community talk and everything, that has answered more questions and filled in. It's actually, it answered questions I didn't even know I had, and it's filled in some holes in a lot of area, because a lot of us out, your fan base that's sitting out here waiting on pins and needles for this game to come out. We're all, what's it going to be? What's it going to look like? There are some of us that like the bigger picture, like what we've been talking about so far. And then there are those that want to know, will this weapon be able to do this kind of dance? So I'm sure you've run across that in all the interviews and all the fans you've talked about out there. So right now, I'm just going to pick up on my questions here, Lehman, and whenever I switch over to you, I'll suggest to you where I think you can pick up on yours, if that's okay with you. So right now, yeah, it is. It's when I lean too far forward that it does that. Right now, Miguel, you talked about a 2-year from the time you stood up at E3 and so do you have a more firm release date in mind that you can share yet?
The thing is, in today's, and especially with our approach to making that game, the word release or launch doesn't have the same signification, especially if most of your community start with the Founders Program. Because the Founders Program, the way it works, it's, I told you at the beginning that my other project is Star Citizen as well. I mean, what we do is not crowdfunding. The project is fully funded. The Founders Program is, first of all, because the fan asked for it. And the second of all is to have our committed player and our premium player be closer to us when the game goes with a bigger community. Once we reach the millions of people, I mean, we cannot use 1 million people and cannot answer private message of 1 million people every day. So having the team as a founder, it's the team, the fans as founders allows us to do a lot more stuff or interaction with them. Now, on top of that, for me to win the trust or to have the trust of a fan that is giving me money 1.5 years in advance of him being able to enjoy his product is too much. Like for me, it's I cannot live with that. It's too much trust, and it's too much. I don't feel that I'm bringing enough value. So of course that with the Founders Program, he gets the game key when the game is going to launch. He's going to be part of the closed beta and things like that. And he has a lot of other perks. But one of the things that we'll have for founders as well, it's what we call early game module access. If your community is watching Star Citizen, one of the things that you're already in Star Citizen, I have my hangar already, where I can see my ship and I can shoot some stuff in the hangar. So I have the game client already. The door of my hangar doesn't open yet, so I cannot go out in space, but I have my hangar. Now that door will open at the end of the month, where the dogfight will be added. So at the end of the month, then my hangar door is going to unlock, and I'll be able with my ship to go fly in space. With Eternal Crusade, we have the same concept. So basically, the founders are the spear point, going to Arcona. They're the vanguard, leaving Terra. If I take the Space Marine approach, leaving Terra in their ship, going through the warp. It's going to take them about 1.5 years to reach Arcona if there's no warp storm. Wink, wink. And
always the warp.
Yeah, and then suddenly, somewhere, probably by the end of this year or early next year, you guys, all the founders will download the client of our game, and they're going to start a client, and they'll be when they log in, they'll be in there with their character that they've played with, and they're organized the way they want in the Founders Program store, and then they'll be in their training cage with servitors. They'll have a shooting range of all the training room that you have in a strike cruiser for the Space Marine. You'll have all of that, but obviously the door to go further inside the ship will be locked, and then suddenly that door's going to unlock, and then it's going to have a corridor with rooms of the personal the quarters of everyone of that squad or that strike force, and then maybe a few months later, another door is going to open, and then you'll have the strategarium, the sensorium, you'll have all these type of things, and then suddenly you'll see through your window. You'll go out of warp, and you'll see you can remove your blinds so not to go crazy seeing the warp, and then you'll see a beautiful picture of Arcona because you have arrived. You know, and then you're getting ready for your battle plan because the game is launching in a week, and you know, right before launch, you're getting to your drop pod, and then you're waiting. You know, and then I'll probably tell you on your speakerphone, guys, get ready for start of war. You know, and then that's where the game is going to start. So that's the type of thing that will provide it. So in a sense, the game is going to be launched or pieces of it way before 18 months.
Okay.
But in summer of like August, September 2015, we'll start the open beta with monetization in, but we'll still call it a beta. So it's not going to be officially launched. I won't do publicity yet, anything like that. And we'll probably do that for if we nailed it, and the fact that we have no marketing firewall between you guys and us, most likely will be maybe not nailed it right on the middle, but probably very closer to the bullseye than most other games are. But still, we give ourselves from maybe 2-3 months to maybe 6 months to balance it out and to adjust a few things, and then we'll launch it. So I don't have a straight answer for you, but it's pieces of it until September next 2015, and then most likely end of 2016, end of 2015, beginning of 2016, we will remove the word beta.
Okay. So right now is the plan for this thing still? There goes the video again.
Yeah.
Is the plan? Well, that's going to
not
happen,
my fault.
I guess. No, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to keep going, and when it comes back, it comes back. Is the plan for this to be on the 3 profiles or the 3 platforms now: PC, Xbox, and PlayStation?
So do you have my camera back? By the way,
it's doing weird things here.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute. There it is. I'm back now.
Okay. So perfect. So the way we are building the game in a technological perspective is we're doing it to be very, very easily port. When my lead programmer is going to hear me say the word easily port, he's going to freak out because he's a programmer. But for an exec in my throne, my golden throne, yes, it's very easy. In the sense that I'm joking a little bit, but we're making the game to be ported like this on the next-gen platform. What it means is that Patrick, our lead programmer, is using Xbox One as minimum requirement. On top of that, you'll see some announcements soon of some technological partner that I got, like for video card partners, or video card technology and things like that, and every technology that we chose for the game has a solution for the console as well. So to make sure that it's completely transparent. The other thing as well is the UI. The UI that we have right now, the game is made to be as good without giving any advantages between gamepad or keyboard and mouse. So if you see, I'm a melee type of guy. That's what I like to play. So I play in our game. We do two smoke tests per day, and we do 2 play tests per week. Actually, in 20 minutes, we have our Friday play test. And when we play the game, I play with the gamepad, but a lot of other people play with the keyboard and mouse. And the UI, if you have it says press A to continue, as an example. If I move my mouse, the UI switches and says press enter. And if I touch anything on my game controller, it does the same thing. If I unplug my game controller, my whole UI changes for my mouse and keyboard. And if I plug back my controller, the whole UI changes again. So we won't have anything to do besides making sure that it recompiling it and making sure not even recompiling, because again, the engine and the technology we're using works on all platforms. The only issue for me to be able to tell you, yes, it's going to be on next-gen platform as well as PC, is the business deal with Microsoft and or Sony. That's the only thing I'm waiting, because right now, console game, the current gen, as well as the next gen, the models for MMOs on these console is really not known. I mean, in the old gen or the current gen, the model it doesn't allow MMOs to be there. And you know, I mean, the only MMOs that you'll have in the old gen are MMOs that are published or owned by Microsoft or Sony, or there's the Word of Tank on the Xbox 360, but that's because they're Word of Tank. So they probably didn't have to follow the same rules about the delays for patches and the price. You know that each time you have to do patches, you have to pay something, and all the integration with the store, with this, all of that are not made to make it easy for MMOs. So once throughout the development of the project, I will engage with Sony and Microsoft to discuss with them how we could have that.
Okay.
Now, one of the other obstacles that I have, and maybe your fan can come and tell us in the forum if they agree with me or not, but is that one of our core value in the Behavior Online, as well as the whole behavior, is that players, customers, is a privilege, not an asset, you know? So and that we really feel like when you guys decide to play one of our game, I mean, you're not in jail. I don't have the power to tie you up to your chairs to play it, you know? I have to provide you a great experience for you to continue playing it. So that's why it's a privilege. And holding you hostage as a client doesn't serve anybody's needs. Right. So for me, once we launch the game, and if we go to next-gen platform, I really, 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 really want to be in the same universe. I don't want to have any difference. I don't want you to know when you're playing with your squad who's playing from a PC, who's playing from a Xbox One, who's playing from a PS4. I really don't want you to have to bother about that, you know? Now, that is an utopian goal because, well, maybe not. Things are changing fast. So, you know, most likely Sony will be more open to connect with the PC world than Microsoft will. But having the two console be in the same universe as well, which would be my true goal, that's something that I think I'm dreaming a little bit too much. But that's something that we'll have to discuss within the next year and a half. So the game is made to be ported within a few months of work to the next-gen platform without lots of effort.
Okay.
Now I'm just waiting to see the business deal that Microsoft and Sony will request for MMOs on the next-gen platform.
Okay, that's great. Hey, Lehman, the first section is done there. My recommendation is pick up at number 15 and then finish out that section and we'll go back. And Miguel, okay. You got, it looks like another 15 minutes is what we have left with you?
No, you can go to a little bit more. I'll miss part of the playtest. It's okay.
Well, I don't want you to miss part of the playtest. We'll go fast as we can through because we're moving out of what we're calling the big picture. You know, the whole picture you've just painted for us has been awesome. And now we're going to start, you know, like a lot of the guys on our website wanted. They want to get down into all right, now tell me if I do this and that, will this happen sort of thing. So we're going to slowly start coming down in altitude.
Perfect. I'll go as low as I can, but I'm a very big fan of authority and responsibility stays in the same people. So I trust my dev and I'm just an exec, right? So if you're asking me how many damage does this weapon does, that's the type of question I won't be able to answer you. But mechanics and things like that, and what's in the game, what's not, and things like that, yeah, of course. That's
okay. All right, great. Lehman, over to you.
All right. Will Eternal Crusade have a training mode or like the ability to have private battles?
Yeah. So when you mean training mode, do you mean tutorial?
Yeah.
Yeah, but nobody will notice. What I mean is that the first objective, the first mission that you'll do alone or you'll do with your squad, because the tutorial you can do it alone or you can do it with your squad. If you join the game as a squad, you can do it with your squad, you know. So it's a mission, but it's a mission where the Imperium, if you're Space Wolf, that Lehman Russ or your chapter master, whoever AI that we choose or AI voice that we choose, will teach you more about what to do step by step. And but you won't know that is a tutorial because it's just going to be your first mission. So yes, we will have that. On top of that, as I said to you before, even before the game launches, you'll have your training cage, in your training room inside your spaceship, where you'll be able to try your build, try all different kinds of stuff, and that's going to be very cool for you. So these are the two training things that you'll do. Now, in terms of private matches, well, Arcona, one of the things about our game is a single universe for everybody here, like every player. So you'll see full strike force of Russian chaos guys. If you go see Eternal Crusade.ru, that's one of the big guild that's going to join the game. They'll be, I mean, they might not speak English, but your Space Marine, you wouldn't talk to a chaos guy anyway. You just kill him. But everybody, we have a single server technology, so you don't choose your server. Everybody is on Arcona, and Arcona is not instanced. Only the Promethean mines, the mines that you'll find, and some of the dungeon and things like that, these guys are instanced. But the whole planet itself is not instanced. So if you want to have a private battle, you just challenge a guy, and we have full friendly fire. So you just challenge a guy, and you go to a place where you're not disturbed, and then you just fight it. But if you want to have different kind of experience, then you can do dungeons. You can go into Promethean mine and you'll fight Tyranids or other monster. Wink, wink. I won't tell you who they are, but you'll find other type of monsters as well in a Promethean mine. And even if you want to have even more of a challenge, then you can go, because every territory controlled by factions are surrounded by Tyranids territory. And what you can go is you just go in the Tyranid territory and you try to go as far as you can, because the further down their territory you go, the toughest the reaction will be, and the biggest the reward will be. So it's kind of a continuous raid, basically, because when it's getting to be too much, then you just pull back inside your territory,
Yeah.
Hopefully. So yes, to answer your question, yes, but not in a typical instance way, except in the dungeon that are, again, are procedural, because the dungeon you can do the same one over and over again, and each time it's going to be a little bit different. This is where you can have battles, private battles.
Well, the Promethean mine, it pertains to my next question. I played World of Warcraft for about 6 years, and I've noticed that every MMO I've played since then, the dungeon group dynamic is always the same. There's a tank, DPS, and a healer. Will Eternal Crusade follow that same vein, or will it be different?
Do you remember when I was telling you that a lot of your question, I will refer again to the consumer promise, which is to be a soldier of the 31st millennium. As a space wolf, tactical or assault or devastator, you cannot apply DPS, tank, yes, a devastator is more tanky, but don't stand in front of his guns because he is DPS as well, So the concept of class doesn't exist in Eternal Crusade, because we just use the reality, the reality of the 40K universe, right? So it's not about classes, having a tank, and the mechanic of the dungeon are not made to work this way, Of course, it's better to have an Apothecarian with you if you go to a dungeon, but you don't need to, It depends really what you want to do, or with the group that you have. So it's more about with all of you guys, it's not classes, it's choosing what is the right chess piece to do this. And these chess pieces are way more extensive and defined than tank, DPS, healer, thing like that. So you might want people that are faster, in their their movement, as an example for a certain type of dungeon and thing like that. So it's we don't. We follow 40K. We don't follow MMO guidelines. We follow 40K guidelines.
That's good. All right. I had a question that just popped into my head. It's not on the list.
Then I don't
you're gonna be at E3, right?
Yeah.
How big of a? I mean, I know the Founders Package is coming out that time, but how big of a reveal are you going to actually do for the video game at E3?
Sorry, I'm just getting another. Oh, I just got an Inquisitor that told me.
Oh, okay. I got it. All right,
I can
I'll
say.
back off.
The Sisters of Silence are right behind it.
Exactly. So I can tell you that it's going to be big.
Yeah.
Very big. Most likely not what you expected, but then you'll start to see how positively sneaky I can be. Because 10 months ago, I asked the community a question, and that's the culmination of that question I asked them 10 months ago. That's one of the big reveal that we'll do, but there's a lot of others, and because that's the thing about me is I love to tell our players everything, but I have to hold myself back in, you know.
I knew we should have done this in a bar.
Yeah.
I'll just stop because I'm trying to find ways to tell you things, and on top of that, I know that your community is quite educated. So in the 40K, so I just stopped there. But yes, it's going to be big, and there's going to be a lot of reveal. The reveals might not happen at E3. Actually, they might. You'll see more and more until E3 arrives. But they're powerful reveals. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, your dog agrees.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's going to be at E3 too.
Yeah, he's going to be there.
Well,
the dog is. The dog will.
You'll come and see me at the booth. Oh God, I just told you there was a booth. Okay.
It didn't even take alcohol. We got that answer.
Exactly.
All right, Steve, you wanna go with customization, the races?
I'm gonna do something different here, Lehman. I'm gonna do an audible with. I don't want to keep Miguel's been with us a long time, even before we started to record on this. So I want to really appreciate his time here. I'm going to pass through because I think some of these other questions are down into the nitnoids.
Okay.
Did you say customization?
Yeah, the basic.
Yeah, no, don't ask the question. In about probably half an hour, we have a newsletter coming out about customization.
Oh, awesome. All right, well then we'll get that in the newsletter and get it up on our website as well there. So you said something a minute ago. What I'm gonna do, Lehman, is jump to the final round stuff here.
Okay.
So we can get him out of here, and he's even answered a couple of those questions already. So you said down, and we go into the what we call exterminatus in the current game mode, but down into fighting the Tyranids, there'll be something else down there. One of the guys requested zombies. But his real thing was, it'd be cool to fight zombies, but his real thing was demons from the Nurgle, down in there. So we offer that as a suggestion, and not nearly as high as having the Raven Guard in there, but certainly a good suggestion in there.
So, to answer the question, you noticed that the four faction that we announced the four legion that we announced for Chaos, none of the legion we chose are completely aligned with a specific Chaos god. I mean, they can have blessing from these gods, but they're not aligned with any of the gods, and that was done on purpose. Because it's not necessarily the legion that we wanted the most in the game, but when we started looking at legion that were allied with gods, with chaos gods, the designer and I and the whole team, we were making a game by itself. I mean, there's a lot of features and a very, very cool immersive feature that we can do about that. But we thought that it deserved more love than just trying to fit it in our budget and fit it in this and do it in the time that we wanted to do it and things like that. So basically, you have right now we announced 4 faction, and each faction has 4 sub-faction. Except the orcs that has on top of that the faction, which is the boys, but all but beside that, if you look at the premium faction, orcs, Space Marine, Chaos, and Eldars, they have all 4 sub factions. So for Space Marines, chapters; for Eldars, Craft World, Legion, and orcs is I have a memory blank. Orcs are
Clans,
what is
right?
clans? Thank you,
Clans.
clans. So throughout the next 18 months, we'll ask you, actually, probably most likely this summer, we'll ask you fans to vote for a 5th sub-faction per faction. This is where, Steve, that you'll be able to vote for your chapter, to make sure that your chapter is selected. And that will do that for all 4 factions. But getting closer, or maybe if the Funders program has fantastic results, then we might decide to add a 5th faction, a full, like the Tau, the Necrons, or something else in the game. And again, that's going to go, the fan will decide that, not us, as the fan, that will decide which is the next faction we add in the game. So I hope it answers your question.
It does. And so
it actually answers a couple.
Yeah, it did answer quite a bit. I mean, this has been a very content-rich discussion. We appreciate that. I'll try not to lean forward again. So the last 2 things I have here, and I will close and get you out of here. So one of the questions we got from our group was, will this be released to all countries simultaneously that are going to get it, or how's that going to work?
So remember our motto, be true, be fair, be transparent?
Yep.
Well, our motto goes, in priorities, goes below law. So in terms of pricing and release, we need to follow the law of every single country that is going to be released. And yes, it's going to be worldwide. But you can tell your community that I will still apply be fair, be true, be transparent. I will try. My goal is, again, no difference whatsoever. And yes, be launched in every territory at the same time. That's my objective.
Okay.
Now, is it feasible in terms of production? Like Stephanie, my senior producer on the project, she's the, I cannot say she's the mom. She's more like the dad. I'm more like the mom, because she's the one that makes sure it finished on time, on target, on budget, on quality, and everything. And she's the one managing the budget and everything. But maybe she doesn't want at the beginning that all countries comes live, because she wants to test the performance of the game, test the reliability, and test. So she might want things differently. The other thing is there's different rules in different countries. You know, if for Germany, I don't know if that rules is true, but one of the MMO I made in the past, we had to change the blood color for Germany. It had to be green, the blood, because that's the law in Germany. You know, the blood cannot be red. Without considering these things, yes, we want to launch on all countries all at the same time.
Okay,
but
great.
Again, we don't know if it's feasible.
Okay, so
same thing with pricing. You know, I see a lot of video games say, "Oh, it's $50 in US, and then it's £70 in UK." Well, for what reason, really? Oh, there's the VAT. Yeah, the VAT doesn't cover all of that. You know, so there's a lot of lack of transparency in terms of pricing per countries. For us, we want the game to cost the same based on the cost of living of that country. But again, we need to follow law. So if for that country there's a huge tax, then we have no choice. We have to follow the law. But our be fair part of our motto again goes to monetization, and I want it to cost the same in terms of cost of living type of perspective for every players.
Okay. Last question then here. And this is just a big open-ended question for you. Is there anything in the discussions, interviews you've done with everyone that no one's asked yet that you've been wanting to talk about?
Yes. Yes, there's 2 things, and they're going to please your fan, because they're actually very detailed design things that I actually know and love, know about and love. You know, the first one is you remember again our consumer promise: be a soldier of the 41st millennium. So even though Space Marine knows no fears, they do take cover. You know, they're not stupid either, right? And same thing with all the other faction. Now, cover mechanic that has been around in all the type of video games. There's a lot of different one, but the one that in first-person shooter or third-person shooter, which our game is not, please, you know, our game is not a shooter. Our game is a combat,
Good.
you know, massive RPG. So I mean, I rarely take any classes that has or any type of Space Marine or Chaos Space Marine that has guns. I'm all about getting down and dirty myself, you know. So so when you look at the cover mechanic, the one that is the most used, and I'm saying used, not popular, because it's popular from the designers and the studios, but it's not popular with the players. The players don't like sticky cover, you know, although that's the mostly used mechanic. And again, if I was to implement sticky cover in Eternal Crusade, I would break my first consumer promise to you guys, which is be a sort of 41st millennium, because Lemon, as a Space Wolf chapter master, if you take cover, the wall doesn't glue you there. You can do a step back if you want to in the real life. If you were a real Space Marine, when you take cover to a wall. Let's say there's I don't have a wall, but well.
There you go, a wall. Look at how this works.
So if you that's the side right here. Well, let's see. Whoops. Okay, so that's there's no wall there. So the enemies are shooting like this, and I'm right here. So if I'm covering myself right here, I can do a step back. You know, I can look. I'm not sticky in real life. And the cover mechanic that the designer put in place is just amazing, and I've never seen that before. So basically, the way it works, it's you crouch, you know, and you'll see that the crouch works. So even with a power armored, and that's the reason why you cannot. The cover mechanic for Devastators is not the same as for the other class, because in a Devastator armor, no, you can crouch. You can crouch. You cannot. It's impossible, right? But in the Space Marine, we made it. The crouch in a way that a spaceman would be able to. So let's say, assume that I'm crouching right now. So when I'm crouching, let's say I'm holding my bolter. If I'm crouching by any type of structure that gives me cover, our games knows that you're covering yourself. You know, nothing changes except when you try to aim with the. As I told you guys, I play with the gamepad. So you aim like this and you shoot like this. You know, so when I aim. The game knows that I'm covering myself. So instead of just aiming, my character goes like this, you know. And if it's a cover, that is, there we go. If it's a cover, then it's more like this, you know. So let's say the camera is my cover. So I'm covering like Civ, and when I aim, I go, like this, you know, just like this. Except if I have a Devastator. And I'm covering myself with my big, heavy bolters.
Yeah.
I don't have any guns.
Now you're talking to Lehman, because he's a big, heavy bolter guy.
So my big, heavy bolter. Then when I try to I try to crouch and then aim. He won't crouch. What he's going to take? He's going to take his big, heavy bolter, and he's going to put it on top of the cover. And the camera now is not anymore on because it's a third-person side camera, you know, that we have, and then the camera goes away from the side, goes behind you completely, and then you don't have almost no recoil, and your reticle gets a lot more precise, and your firing rate goes a lot higher, and then so you just hold your big bolter like this. Which brings me to the second thing. Which I don't think I'm able to do it right now, but this is something we can do another time for another video. But this is something I really like to show you. It's another. You remember when I was telling you about consumer promise and what is our job as a studio is to entertain you and make you feel what it is to be a soldier of the 41st millennium. And the way we do this is only through emotion. You know, seeing Lehman. Sorry. It's not lemons, it's lemons.
We're going to call him Lemon from now on.
Yeah. I don't want to. He's a big guy. So what the smile and the giggling that Lehman was doing is because he was already picturing himself doing it, and he was already feeling the emotion of it, you know. But how do Lehman is behind is cover, and he's shooting at me, and I'm inside of a building, you know, or I'm by a window. Now I know your emotion, but how should I feel that when I have a big guy, a big devastator with a massive heavy bolter shooting at me? So the first thing in the military tactics, what Lehman is doing, it's called suppressing fire, you know? And the purpose of it is not necessarily to, of course, you want to kill stuff, but it's mainly to stop people from being able to go outside their cover and shoot at you.
Yeah.
Now, we have that mechanic in place in the game. So we have suppressing fire mechanic. And the way it works, it's with certain type of weapon of a high caliber and high rates. If I'm being shot in around my direction, in the game, in the last playtest I did, it was anywhere that is about 1.5 meters away from my character, then my whole screen shakes like this and gets a little bit blurred, you know, and I lose precision of my targeting a little bit, and the noise of it and the effect that we give you is scary. I mean, I'm not getting damage at all. If you shoot with your, let's say I stand in front, you shoot around me, I'll still have the effect, but I don't get damage until if he hits me. But I can tell you that emotionally speaking, yes, I get damage because I get very, very scared. So that's another thing that we have. It's called suppressing fire. And you know, you can imagine as a squad commander, you can have 3 Devastator in your squad, and you rotate them against an enemy position, making sure that there's always 1 or 2 of them shooting while the other one recharges, because obviously a heavy bolter is longer to recharge. And then you can keep these 3 guys suppressing the enemy all the time. That means that every single Space Marine of the enemy, if they don't, until you have no ammo or anything like that, they will lose precision in their shooting. And they will lose visual precision as well, you know, trying just to see what's going on because the screen is shaking and they're getting scared and they're getting shot at, you know. So that's to tell you, that's how we will make you feel emotion. You know?
Yeah, the environmentals.
That's great.
Exactly, because remember that our tech will allow more than 1,000 players in the same battle, anywhere, anytime throughout the game, and you don't. It's not like EVE Online where you need to tell us in advance what's going to happen, a thing like that. It's really happening on the go without you knowing. One of the things that we want to do with our technological partner, which is called Much Different as well, is to actually beat their own world record, but live at a big event with players. So can you imagine? You told me you're about 400 people in your group
that are registered on our website. Yeah.
That are registered. So just take the one that are registered on your website. Okay. We do this this big Guinness World Record break, you know, and you and your teammate, you're all Space Marine, and we start that record, and you look left and you look right, and you see all 400 of your guys, you know, starting to do emote, or some of them, you know, trying different guns on their rhinos or anything like that, you know. And then you see in front of you a big plane, and you see a little hill, you know, and then you see a big knobs coming out of the hill, screaming, "Wah!" You know, like something like this, you know. You're like, yeah. Look at we're 400 with vehicle and weapons, so yeah. Come and get us, you know. And then suddenly, right beside him, you see little green dots appearing. And you see lines on it, a little bit like in Braveheart, you know? And you see like 500, 600, 700 of them, you know, that are on top of the mountain. And they all scream, "Wow!" And they start banging on their shield, you know, as in one of the emote. And they start running. 500, 600 of the players starting running towards you, screaming with word bars, having their vehicles and hovers and things like that, and grenade, and some of them calling orbital strikes on top of that on the battlefield. I tell you, the first time that this is going to happen in the game, people will get scared, like genuinely scared. You know, this with no lag in a skill-based game where, you know, you're blocking players attacking you with swords, and that's the thing about the game. I was playing with IGN with a journalist, and for whatever reason, his brain and my brain were completely in sync, and it gave me the opportunity to show him part of what we talk about skill-based combat is. As a Space Marine, when you fight, you know, they're not. Here we go. They're not ninjas. They don't go like this. A Space Marine, when he fights, you saw the videos that, boom, they hit you like this, you know? So we were doing that, and because right now in the game, we have Chaos and Space Marine right now in the game that we play test with. They have the same abilities. We haven't opened the breadth of abilities because we're in pre-production still. But what happened is that I was trying to hit him when I chainsword, and he was timing. He was doing it exactly the same time as me. So we were going ding, ding, like this, and none of us was getting damaged. And you would just see sparks of the chainsword. And then what I did, I basically block like this, you know, to stop him. And then I hit him, and he got that he can block, you know, so he blocked it. But instead of hitting him, I give him a big kick, pow, like this, to break his block, you know, and that stunned him and went him backward. And then I jump in the air with my jump pack, and while I was in the air, you look on the ground, and you see big X, and that's an aerial attack, you know, from your chainsword. So I started my aerial attack, and I went like a big AOE on the ground on him. So that's really what the game is about, you know. It's a skill-based combat. So someone that has been playing the game for a year and a noob that just starting to play the game, the noob that just started playing the game might be able to kill the other guys if the guy is really not skilled, and if that guy is that noob is very, very skilled. So that's really the mechanic that we put in the game, and it becomes so addictive. I mean, I couldn't believe that when we were at IGN, we were just him and I in a humongous playfield playing, and that game is not made to be two in it, right? And it was so much fun. I mean, we played for an hour, and he didn't want to stop, you know. So I remember he got me very good once. He was playing Chaos with his cast Rhino. He got me on my Rhino, but on the side. So I flipped on my back, and I was trying to get out of the tank, but then he got out and he threw a grenade on the tank, and my tank exploded with me in it, obviously, with shrapnel everywhere. And that was like the combat makes it so much fun, even without all the other layers I've told you about. You know, right. I'll tell your fan to do something if they can go back and see all the videos where they see like the one on MMORPGs and things like that, where you can see people, our devs playing, and we show execution. Each time that you'll see an execution, you'll hear in the devs or the devs sing. Like this. And we only have 2 kind of execution in the game right now. We're gonna have hundreds of them later, but we've been doing that for a year, and we have, as I said, we're playing at least 10 times a week our game using the same execution. Each time we do it, we still giggles. It still gives you a buzz. So yeah, that's the type of thing that I haven't had the chance to talk about, and I can tell you.
Well, great. Well, listen, we have taken up quite a bit of your time. We do really, really appreciate it. This has been very content rich for us, and we didn't even get to half of the questions, but we will definitely want to stay in touch and do this again down the road. Let me back up a minute here. Down the road, and of course follow the forums and all the other you're good at releasing stuff on Facebook and things like that.
Yeah.
So we'll keep up with that. But
we have a new we've added Instagram account as well. Okay. So if you guys want to see the Instagram. The other thing, depending of when did you join Eternal Crusade community, but we have a Twitch account as well where we did already 3 AMAs and that they last for hours, and we just answer 1,000 questions about the game in these AMAs, and the videos are on Twitch. Guillaume, my marketing coordinator, is supposed to add them. Soon to our YouTube channel as well. So because we have a YouTube channel, you'll be able to see the AMA there as well. I'm not sure if it's there now, but soon. Is it there?
Great. Yeah. Well, I thank you very much for your time, Miguel. It's really been an awesome get to talk to you, and you gave us you gave us way more than I thought we were going to come out of this.
Yeah, a lot more.
Just really give me 1 second, because I'll be able to tell you. Est-ce qu'ils sont sur les vidéos de Twitch? Est-ce qu'ils sont sur YouTube? Pas encore? Okay. Yeah. So the Twitch video, they're not on our YouTube channel. They're on our Twitch channel. But probably by mid next week, they'll be on our YouTube channel as well.
Okay. That sounds great. Well, I appreciate it, man. We are stoked. We're looking forward to this game coming out. I mean, and we'll continue to play what we do now, just to try and
actually,
keep us...
Steve,
Yeah.
there's a very, very important question that you didn't ask that I need to tell you.
Go ahead.
It's related to what I was telling you about the console and the PCs. Okay, all the story. I needed to add you something. The Founders Program that we're launching at E3.
Yeah.
So first of all, this is just the start. The Founders Program is going to last 18 months until the game's launch, right? And every month, the items that you'll see there, there's not going to be lots of items. I think there's about 10, 15 items by faction at E3 that we'll have there that you can buy with your Founders Point. But after that, every month, we will add lots of items every single month for 18 months, you know, until the game's launch. This whole Founders Program, if your fan buys that Founders Program, it is a PC Founders Program. But if I'm able to close a deal with the console before the game is released, and we know that the game will be, and we know that we can release it very quickly, then, and depending of the type of business model I have console, then I'll be able to refund the Founders Program PC to the player that want to play it on console, and sell them a more the same value, same thing, or it's probably just going to be a different keys, but nothing's going to change. The console one, I say I might be able to, you know, I might not have to, because if I'm able to convince the console companies to be in the same universe, then no, I won't, like, that is going to work for console as well as PC. So it's I'm going to try again to I'm going to follow our motto: be true, be fair, be transparent. But I have to say that the official statement is that the Founders Program that your fan will be buy is only for PC. That's the official statement.
Okay.
The unofficial statement is if I'm able to close my deals with Microsoft and or Sony's, and I'm able to do this before the launch, and then I'll try to make it as transparent and as easy as possible. If it comes after launch, I'm gonna find a different way, but I'm gonna be the truer and the fairer and the more transparent that these rules and these deals allows me to be.
Okay.
But very important that the official statement is that that Founders Program is only for PC.
All right. All right. Well, now we know.
Yeah, I don't want that, and I'm going to work 18 months, in the next 18 months, so it doesn't happen the way the official statement says it. But that's part of our transparency. And it's about the trust that I have in your fans. So I'm telling you, the fan, this is the official one. So don't try to, nail me on the wall if it's not it. But because I'm transparent, I want to tell you what I'm going to try to do. Okay. I'm going to try to make it very transparent and the same value if I can.
Awesome. Miguel, thank you very much. This has been
My
great.
pleasure.
And we look forward to follow-up conversations with you. And of course, we obviously wish you guys up at Behaviour all the best, man. And we're really stoked, looking forward to seeing what you guys can bring to the Warhammer fans out here.
And I hope that all your fans have already signed up for the newsletter and for beta. If they don't, they should go. And I'll encourage them to go participate in our Founders Program.
A lot of us already are. We'll get that word out too.
Yeah, Perfect. You're going to make a lot of money off of a lot of it.
No, it's not about making money out of you guys. It's about, because that's really, this is a secondary goal for me, because that's not an objective. That's a result. It's a result of us obeying your commands and listening to you and not faking it, but doing it. And if we do this right and we're fair in our pricing, then the rest will come naturally. But it's not a goal. It's a result.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, sir.
Great.
No problem.
Raven Guard.
Take care, guys.
Right.
Bye, Lemon.
Thank you, Miguel.
Bye, Steve.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.